Irresistible Leaders, what is up? We are back with another episode of the pod, and I bought one of my really good friends. Y'all, I try my very best to bring y'all people who I'm impressed by. Now, I know that sounds super arrogant, but everybody be on these podcasts. Y'all know this. They don't be saying nothing. I don't bring you them people. Okay. I bring you I'm trying to elevate us all together as a community. And I'm so excited. I have who I think he's a quiet killer. You don't understand. See, I tell you all the time, don't get distracted by the main guy, because the main guy is really dope. But in order for him to be the main guy, there's a couple guys and girls around him who are making a lot of things happen. I want to introduce you to a mover, a maker, a shaker, a real man of God, but also just an incredible intellectual. Can y'all do me a favor? Irresistible Leader Community Pod. Can y'all welcome Khalil Tubbs to the conversation? What up, my man?
When I tell you I've made it to the Potter's House of Podcasts.
Okay, I don't like you. I don't like you today. Okay, we're not doing this.
I tell you, I have made it. Woo-wee. It's time. I feel like I'm walking up. I'm opening my Bible. Come on, let's do it.
Listen, I don't like you, but let me just say right from the jump, because we are the Irresistible Leadership community is about getting better. So listen,
For sure.
I love that y'all are here listening to the podcast, but I'm gonna say right from the beginning, if you need to, after you finish listening to this episode and you like, comment, and subscribe, jump over to the Mic Toss Pod on YouTube.
Let's do it. Let's do
the
it.
exact same thing. Matter of fact, you'll see that me and Khalil had a great conversation.
Yes.
It'll be up. If it's not up by the time this is up, don't subscribe. It's coming. It's coming. But
100%.
You got to go like, comment, subscribe.
A must.
On Mic Toss. That whole situation, the whole vision is that he is helping leaders who are further ahead toss the mic to the next generation, which, by the way, is just incredibly poetic. So anyways, man, welcome to the pod.
Listen, appreciate it,
real
bro.
Quick, let's set up a quick framework for today's conversation, because this conversation for me is all about exploring. You're a second seat leader, but you're also an executor, but you're also a visionary. You've got vision, you got execution. You have an incredible career trajectory that brought you to the second seat. You are a ministry leader and a pastor. Executive pastor is the title and function. Executive pastor and chief of staff. So do me a favor, real quick, for the community, give us the quick, hey, Sheldon, this is the 4-bullet highlight into how I get to this role as an executive pastor: career, life, ministry. I know that's like a really long story.
Yeah, for sure.
But give us the one
hit it quick.
That would be at the top of the LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, man. Born and raised in the church. Business and execution is my passion. I love God. Landed a church job 2019 as an EA to an EP. All this type of work, saw that you can love God, preach, and not have all the responsibility of the main guy and still execute. I said, man, I love it here. I was cool with that being my trajectory. And then somehow the Lord landed me moving from that city, Chicago, now moving here to Memphis. Not all the way sexy, but it's saved. And I'm following God. Here I am, executive pastor today. Been in this role since 2024, and I love it.
It's awesome, man. Okay, give us a little scope around the church. What does it look like? Give us a little trajectory. Reformation Memphis, a move of God. I mean, a move of God. Give us a little context around the church and what you guys are building and its unique kind of value it's bringing to the kingdom in Memphis.
Yeah, Reformation Memphis, we're all about reforming lives. And the whole purpose of the ministry in Memphis is solely to touch people so that they can be reformed in their heart. And once they are reformed in their heart, then they can go and do that in their communities. So we're just reforming lives. And we're here in Memphis. There's a location in Nashville. There's also a location in Atlanta. Reformation Network is big and growing too. We are 27 churches that are under the umbrella of Reformation Network, and it's really this type of content. I mean, just providing the senior pastor, executive pastor, their serve teams with the resources that are needed to actually make a difference in their churches and their communities, and not just coming together to say we are a big group of people in one big church, but really hoping to even cause some reformation to happen in those local churches as well. So great people. This is my first time ever living in the South, and when I say that
Welcome,
Southern hospitality, hello,
welcome.
that Southern hospitality is something way different, and I love it here. So yeah, man, that's our church.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so this is great. So there's a bunch of number twos listening, and what we love this part of our job. I think it's. I was talking to Khalil offline before we started the pod, and I said one of the things that I struggled with early on in my young executive pastor number two-ness was
Hmm.
I thought I was the only one of me. There was just me and my
I
pastor
feel
and our
that.
difficulties and our personality conflicts and our and even the stuff that got us excited, that was only us. We were the only people
Hmm.
having this problem. It's almost like, not a horrible analogy, but almost like marriage. Like, we're the only two people arguing about this. It's like, no,
Ah,
you're not the only two people arguing about this. We all argue about this.
right.
And one of the things I found later on is I had to intentionally find
Mm,
resources and men and women of God who were further ahead of me, because then they while they everything they said to me at that moment started sounding prophetic. It was like, "Oh my God, how do you know that? Oh my God." And so I just,
right.
"Oh, I just lived that like 4 years ago. Let me tell you
Correct.
exactly how I overcame." And
Yep.
so I say that to say, the reason I'm excited to talk to you is because I think when we look at your life, your trajectory, and what you're doing, there's so much mirror that you're gonna provide our community to be like, "Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, that's wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm
for
not
sure.
crazy. I'm
For
not
sure.
okay, and wow, I didn't realize that I need to be thinking about it like that and not like that, like this." So the heart of today's conversation is really about unearthing the emotional
Mm,
and kind of relational positioning of being a number two and working for a phenomenal leader and serving a phenomenal organization. So I say that to say, tell me a
yeah.
little bit about, just so we're all working on the same kind of baseline definition, tell me a little bit about what your role entails as a number two. Because again, I also found there's a bunch of different versions of number twos. So
Hello.
tell us a little bit about your kind of your job description, other duties as assigned.
That other duties as a sign, I
That's the
mean,
majority of it.
everything that could be needed whenever it's needed, you're the
That's
guy to
it.
go to,
That's
right?
it. 100%.
And I think for me, the executive pastor role and the seat has never been about authority, but it's always been about alignment. In that it is not my job and a role to create vision. It is more so my job to build the structure that makes it executable, to build the system in which vision can fully flow through. And that is however it looks. That can come from everything in building the tangible 1, 2, 3 step to get from the vision into translation to protecting the culture to executing. But then that could also mean being the healthy soundboard to the senior pastor so that he has the confidence to execute at the pace in which God has shown him. And so those are two very broad tasks. I there was one time I was talking to my pastor, my apostle, and he was kind of talking about one of the things that I do that is most valuable to him, which is simply this. Catch this. It's simply to go back and forth with him when he's trying to land on confidence about what God has shown him, confidence about how to do a thing, confidence about the proper strategy, confidence about green or yellow, up or down, left or right. And I, in a moment of honesty, said, "Woo, I love that, but that is also the part of my job that brings me the most stress." Because here I am as a number two, having to stay in the tension of what the Lord has shown you, and then also giving you what I see from my seat, from having a bit of the pulse on the saints and what the best way to do a thing. Sitting in that tension with what the Lord has shown you and the best way to make it happen, and you not see it yet. And sometimes we all know this. Our pastors may not see the execution as the best way, even if they believe in us and our ability and our track record has proven good. And it is that tension that is also in that other duties as assigned that is not written on the job description when I first signed up, but it is so vital to the success of not only my role, but to the success of the forward vision and mission of this house, that I stay in the tension of the things that sometimes may cause me a tad bit of stress, sometimes may keep me up at night. Here's a big one. Sometimes that will cause me to fall on my knees in prayer, because while I am executive, I must be more spiritual than executive if I'm going to be successful, so that I can do all the other duties that may not be in black and white.
So good. That last part is incredibly crucial. Those of you who are following along in the pod will remember in episode number 2 when Darius Trainer, also an executive
I
pastor,
watched that one.
said, "Hey, listen, if you're not a disciple, get out of this job."
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the first thing to do. Like all the hear me, the job description, the
Hello.
managing staff, budgets, facilities is all great. But if you're not in the face of Jesus, this job gets very, very,
Mm-mm.
very impossible very quickly. So
Hello.
thank you for just like you said on Mike Toss when we talked, it is the
Mhm.
idea that if you start to hear if you start to hear leaders at the same level start to say the same thing, that's not
Yes.
that watch this, that's not a suggestion.
Hello.
There's this is not
Hello.
Khalil's not like, "Oh, I implore you to pray and seek God." No, 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 no. He's telling you he's done it
This
without
is
it.
game.
As as have I. It is not healthy. It's not it
For
does not
sure.
last. It does
For
not last.
sure.
This is so good. Okay, let's get into some brass tacks. Let's get into some real practical application for the
Mhm.
community as they're listening. So your job is to make it happen. Your
Yes, sir.
job is to make it happen.
For sure.
What so take us into that moment. Take
Mhm.
us into that moment, that conversation that you referenced where your leader is wrestling out loud with
Mhm.
you, right?
Right.
I want to explore two sides of that conversation. One, I want to explore how do you create an environment where that is where your pastor feels comfortable doing it. Watch this. So, 'cause some
Oof.
of this is personality, but some of this is leadership. Some of this is I have to force these environments so that I can get
Mhm.
the answers I want, right? So what do you one first question, I'm gonna give you both questions and we'll kind of unpack them. First question is, what are you doing in that moment that says, yeah, come on, let's go. I like this. Let's get it out. Let me create a space where you can dump and
Yeah.
breathe and just say the real thing, what you're really feeling, tell me your fears, whatever. Because okay, that's one. And then
Mhm.
second is, what are you doing with that moment? Because we all know that that's a
Mm.
seed, right? That
Yes.
experience is a seed, and it's
Yes.
our job to go germinate it and let it come up out of the ground. So, okay, one, when your leader brings you into the room and they have an idea, what is
Mhm.
Khalil doing to create that space, to
Yep.
curate?
Yep.
And are you? Is it intentional or is this just
Mhm.
like, no, Jordan, this just kind of
For
happens?
sure. Yeah, man. I would say a trustworthiness in those individual moments are built on history. In other words, what I mean by that is, before we got to the place of him trusting me with those vulnerabilities, him trusting me with those authentic, real conversations, he is able to today rely on the history that he and I have had to know that those things are safe with me.
So good.
It's not going to be something that I'm going, yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, no, this is good. This is good
Mhm.
because you're helping me. What are you intentionally doing and not doing in those moments? Like what are the decisions you're making about your responses, about about your pushback,
Yep.
about your
Who?
well, I hear you, but we're not gonna be able to do it because of this. Like what are you intentionally doing
Mhm.
verbally, body language? Like help a number two who you know, you're watching them in the room and you're like, you're ruining the moment because you don't realize you're doing this, and this, which is slowing you.
Ooh-wee.
Like help them right there.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I think in in our history with one another, I think you touched on it. A tad bit of it is personality, in that I understand who he is as a person. I understand the things that I could say that would either trigger him, or the things that I could say that would help him hear what I'm saying from a different lens. So, from a practical standpoint, one, if I were to walk this down in like a body language type, I'm key keeping the atmosphere a very lighthearted. In one, I remember one of the first things that I told him when I was first coming on. I said, Pastor, I know no other way but to be honest, but my honesty will always be respectful, because I think there are people that want to be honest, but they don't know how to be honest and respectful. I feel like they don't know how to be real, but also righteous. In that for them, the moment that they are being real, now your voice, your tone has to get loud. You have to pull out all the receipts and all the stops and all of those things that make it feel like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's remember that I'm still the pastor. Let's remember that this is still the vision that God has given me. So I'm always honest, but still respectful. Now, in understanding his personality and mine, one of the things that we're always going to do is laugh. Even in situations where we are not laughing, we're going to laugh, because I know that typically when there are moments and situations that we're going back and forth, I'm always finding the opportunity to keep it light, to keep it lighthearted, so that he doesn't walk away from the conversation feeling like either I strong-armed him or whatever the case is. And then the third thing that I always have in my back pocket are numbers. What can I point to help substantiate my claim? Is it just because I have a feeling? One of the things you should never point to while you are trying to give your pastor confidence to follow God about the thing through the lens of your strategy, one of the things you should never point to is, well, I've heard. That phrase, that sentence, I've heard, one, who has said? Then
Now you
if
invite a whole bunch of other questions. Who are you talking to? And why they talking so
exactly,
strong about me and us in this? Oh, keep talking. This is good.
exactly, who has said? And then at that point, as those questions continue to come, you'll boil down to understand, oh, it's only been about two people that you trust, and this is not the whole determination or the conclusion of the whole church. And now you are bringing this as a sword against what the Lord has shown the pastor as a way to get him to see it through your lens of strategy. Don't do that one. Stay away from the I've heard, somebody has told me. Stay away from that. What you can lean on is something that is irrefutable. Dare I say irresistible, because those are the leaders that we are, is the facts, is the numerics, is the metrics that you track every single Sunday. Because while the pastor has vision and faith, what strengthens their faith more is the reality that I can see it show up numerically. So if pastor is trying to go to two services and you systematically, through your strategy, through your numerics, see that, man, we just may not be at the place for two services, I'm not going to go and say, oh, well, our leaders feel tired. At that point, that can be along the lines of that he said, she said type of conversation. Is it all of our leaders, or is it a small group? But if I can show you times in the past where either we have had large conferences and our volunteer numbers have dwindled, the more services we had, or our volunteer numbers have dwindled from Sunday morning to that Wednesday Bible study, or whatever the case is, now I can show the more things we add, the more confidence we will lose in volunteers, the more confidence we will lose in number of people that are showing up. So in those moments, after I've made sure I'm respectful, after I've made sure I have stayed in our personality rhythms of being happy and jokey and laughy, my last attempt to help my pastor see it through the strategy of my lens is to bring the new metrics. This is the last thing
No, keep going.
I'll
This is
say.
great.
I'll say that even with all of that, where I always land is that, one, this is your church. And not only is it your church, when vision comes, it's never a matter of if we do it. We're going to do what God has said, no matter what. But it is a matter of how we strategically get that thing done. If the Lord has, well, for us in our context, the Lord has given our apostle, maybe 2024, the vision to take our church through the entire Bible. And at first, it was like, we're going to do it in 1 year. But if you've seen any of Reformation services, it's not, you know.
Good luck. Good luck. May
Right.
may the odds be ever in your favor.
Exactly. It's not just a very teachy environment where we're solely going to teach. Something in scripture is going to sound so great, and then we're going to be stuck there for the next 2-3 weeks. So here we are in 2026, still going through the Bible, right? However, in that being God's vision, or what God has said, and in that being the vision of our apostle, we've had to strategically put legs on how we're going to make this happen. So it was never a question of, man, that seems like a tall task. How are people going to follow? How are people going to follow the train of thought? How are people going to study? I don't think that's something that we should do. It's more of, what is the best way to get this thing done? And I say all that to say, by the time I've given my metrics, if we just get to the place of, this is the vision and this is going to happen, at that point, it's how are we going to get it done?
Okay.
And I jump right on board, no matter what my thoughts are, no matter, because faith above all things is the reason that we're here in the first place.
So good. So good. Faith above all things
Yeah.
is the reason we're here. Yeah, I absolutely love the couple things you said. One, this idea of being having high emotional IQ, like this
Yeah.
idea of keeping the room light,
Yeah.
which watch this, is defined by your leader's personality, not so much even by your personality, right?
True.
You're reflecting back where you've paid attention enough to know, okay, he or she is in their best state of creativity and vision casting when the room feels like.
Yep.
There's some pastors, they're very serious. They're very whiteboard, systematic boardroom, and that's fine. Match energy, right? Don't go
Right.
into the whiteboard boardroom with the jokes and the giggles, because that's,
Hello.
like, you have
It's
to
not
give
the
it a
time for
read. I
that.
think no, 100%. One, I love that. I absolutely love that takeaway. Two, one of my favorites that you just said was the idea that your pastor's job is
Hmm.
to know the vision,
Yep.
the voice of God, the vision, and the heart of the people. Your job is
Yes.
to know the numbers.
Yes. a
Your job
hundred
is to know the
percent.
numbers, right?
A
Um,
100%.
and so I think to always come to the conversation and watch this, to know the numbers without your own bias, right?
Hmm.
Because it is very true.
Hmm.
It like, I love the analogy you use. Why if I watch the volunteer ratios from service A to service B, the
Right.
truth is they only drop by 10%. And I may
Correct.
feel like, oh man, the volunteers are really tired, right? And so I'm trying to show you, look at this big
Hello.
10% drop. But at the end of the day,
Hello.
it's
It's
10%.
10%.
And when you look at, if there's 60 volunteers, we're talking about 6 people, y'all. We could pull a service off with 54 people.
Right.
We'll be okay.
Right.
And so it's like, hey, stop. Like, don't bring your own bias. Look, Khalil, you're a master at this, and it's so evident as
Come on with
they
it.
go say a master can make the most complex thing just feel like so obvious, and that's what this whole conversation feels like. Well, yeah, obviously, but I'm telling you, a bunch of
For
people are getting
sure.
help right now. A bunch of
For
people are getting
sure.
help right now. Okay, here's the second part of the same question, right?
Hmm.
So now we're in the space. The
Yeah.
idea is coming out. I'm I mean, I'm the running back. I'm
Hmm.
catching the ball, I'm being thrown, I'm gonna receive it, I'm gonna move the ball down the field. What are you calculating in your mind? What, like, hey, we got event X, we got opportunity C, I need these 3 things to happen. How are you ensuring in that relationship
Hmm.
that you're gonna execute and then create confidence in your ability to do it? Like, what does that look like for you to say, "I got it, and here it is coming forth. Like, here it is coming, man." I wanna use the word manifesting because I just lost the Saints.
Come.
Here it is happening.
Right. Yeah, I think for me, in those moments, by the time that conversation is over, um, and we land on whatever the plan is, the next thing I do to give him confidence, one, I've already brought him to the place of confidence in the best strategy that we're going to do and the best way to get it done. Now here's the number one thing that I would say is also a second chair's job is to now translate that vision. I'm translating that vision, as you said, without the bias. I'm translating that vision without my under my breath, intentional, real thoughts. Yeah, we're just doing this because Apostle wants to do it, and I don't think it's going to be the best. But come on, we have to do this. I'm translating the vision without any of those things into actionable steps. So by the time that we land at something in the conversation, I say, okay, here's how we're going to do it. This is step A, this is step B, this is step C. Are you cool, or do you see any blind spots with any of those steps? No, I think that instead of this person, let's get this person. Instead of this, let's do this. Instead of saying this, let's say this. I get all of that feedback from my pastor before I start the translation of the vision, so that it helps him. Again, it's just stacking confidence on top of confidence, because at the beginning of the conversation, he already came into it with some form of vacillation, going back and forth between if I should. And so now I've given you confidence that we should do it. Now both of us need to agree in the confidence on how it's going to get done, so that by the time the thing happens, when it's game time, that's time for us to be fully confident, running out the locker room, ready to eat this for breakfast. That's not the time for us to be still vacillating and going back and forth, because I need you in this moment to get up with all of the juice that's on you. I need you to get up with that to really make the thing pop, or make the thing do what it's supposed to do. So by the time that conversation is over, we're running through the game plan together, so that you know how I'm going to execute. And then if there is a change in the game plan that we have put together, that's where I know that I have, one, the authority to, because I have the heart of my leader, because I know what would go well, what wouldn't go well, because I know the type of culture that we have in our church. I can speak to some of the changes without having to go back to him to ask for his permission. I can speak to some of those changes, and then on the back end say, hey, this is what had came up. This is one of the ideas when we talk to the staff that I think is good for us to go with. And this is how it's going to affect the end result. I think by the time that conversation is over, we have built so much confidence in the song and dance of his idea, my idea, what about this, so on and so forth, that by the time the conversation is over, we're ready to just execute.
Question to you, and I think a lot of second seat leaders would think about this, like looking at you and your working dynamic. How often are you guys structurally having these kind of conversations? Like, is this happening in
Mhm.
structured meetings, or is this happening in the phone via voice note? Is this happening via text message? Like, how is this? You're saying back and forth this,
Mhm.
this ideation, creation,
Yep.
execution, conversation. But how does it work in your context? Is it structured? Is it more free flowing? And is there some like guideline guardrail framework that you've kind of mentally established in order to create that cadence?
Yeah, no, this happens very organically whenever a moment of something comes upon my pastor. It could be, a Tuesday night. It could be Wednesday morning. It's via text. It's via phone call. If it's something super big, it's typically via phone call where, uh, 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 something is coming up, something has happened, the Lord has spoken. And typically it's also around a direction in which we have previously agreed to go in, landed on the same page, things are going smooth, and now here we go, we're turning the corner. One of the biggest examples that I can give of that is Bible study.
Mm,
Bible study. Bible study versus small groups. That is always a song and dance that me and my pastor have, because I think it is the concept of spirituality and the Lord pouring out upon his people in other ways than here's oil, slap on the forehead, you fall out, you run around the church and we dance. While that is one of the ways that we can experience God almost through a revival like sense, we can also experience God educationally. And so where people will for sure show up to Bible study because of the experience and what could break out, prophecy could happen, powerful intercession can happen in this present moment. We also need people to be educationally sound in the format of discipleship and in the format of building relationship with other people in our church. So does it look like we let go of Bible study for the period of time that we have ref life groups? That's what we call them. Does it look like we can do Bible study and that at the same time? Well, we know if people already kind of get burnt out in going to multiple things through 1 week. Now we have the issue of, is something going to be not effective because only 5 people showed up because they went to Bible study and they're not going to the new thing, the small groups? We go back and forth between those things quite often because it is the vision of our church. It is in our DNA to be a discipleship making house. We are reforming lives. And the only way you do that is through discipleship, through building those intentional relationships around God's word. And so if that is the overall vision that the Lord has given you for our church, can that happen through Bible study alone? And if it can, we stay there. If it can't, and I'm not knocking it. These are, again, some of the conversations that I'll have with him. I'm not saying that Bible study is bad. We need that. We need to know the tenets. We need to be able to defend our faith. But at the same time, our vision is to be a discipleship making house, which may determine and pivot how we do some of the traditional things that we do. And those are the song and dances that happen at any moment.
Man, that Bible study versus small group conversation, Khalil, is hot right
Oh
now.
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That's a hot listen,
Yes.
that's a hot conversation.
Yes.
You are not. You just might have poked a little. You might have been poking a little bit. I don't think you noticed it. There's a couple people
Help us,
listening right
Lord.
now.
Help us,
Like,
Lord.
okay, so which one are we doing, Pastor? Because I'm just trying
Right.
to. I'm trying to build a system for it.
Right.
And so what I hear you saying though is, and it's sort of a tie back to something you said at the very beginning. My job is not to create the vision; it's to execute the vision. So you're saying
Exactly.
you're living. I'm putting words in your mouth, but
Mhm.
you're saying you're living in the tension of our vision is to create disciples. We also want to be thoroughly doctrinally sound.
Yeah,
And so we don't have a perfect system. I think a lot of number twos, they want a lot of us, myself included. We
for
want
sure.
a perfect system. Hey,
Hello.
let's do small groups. We're only gonna be a small group church. We don't want to hear, it's like and watch this. A
Yes,
lot of us because we
yes,
see it
yes.
at the other church, and we're
Hello.
like, well, it's working for them, so we got to
Hello.
do it exactly the way they do it. So actually, let's sit in there just for a
Mhm.
second. Get
Come on
back
with
to
it.
the larger conversation of how do we take vision and translate it and execute it. When you're confronted with the beautiful messiness of creating, right? Because
Mhm.
it's not linear. It's not a perfect line. It
Right.
is a squiggle, and then it ends at a
For
dot. You're like,
sure.
oh, we got there.
Hello. Hello.
What are you doing as a number two? Because even if we're listening to you, we
Mhm.
can hear that you have a passion for both.
Right.
How do
Right.
you maintain neutrality? Like yourself as a number two, how are you saying, no, both ideas are valid, both ideas produce fruit, even though there may be some intrinsic part of you that's like, probably we could just go that route.
Exactly. Exactly.
How are you maintaining that? What are you telling yourself? Like I'm genuinely curious. Like, what are you telling yourself in that moment of like, okay, we're still doing Bible study and we're doing small groups, and I can see the value in both of them, and I'm gonna prioritize in my leadership of the church both of them. But I need to stay neutral while this comes about. I need to let it. I need to let it. I need to let
Yes.
God move and breathe and create. So what are you telling yourself?
What I'm telling myself, and even verbatim what I had told my pastor, I said, we will move in faith in doing the plan or the thing that we are convicted about right now, and then faith will inform our next decisions. What I mean by that is, in the time that we were doing um, ref life groups and Bible study at the same time, we were just moving in faith because this is what it was going to be. We're moving in faith, but at the same time, I'm tracking again all of the numbers, all of the metrics. I'm tracking the thing, if I'm being honest, I am building my case, right? To go back and say, based on what we have seen by doing these two things at the same time, these are the results. Because again, those numbers are irrefutable. I can't, no one can argue, to a degree what those things are. And even if we do get to the point of saying, hey, we're throwing out that and we're moving in faith because this is what the Lord has told me to do, then at that point, again, we're getting back in line with the vision. But until we get to that point, I am still contending with what I know that you have said at the top of the year. And now that we're here at the 6-month mark, we want to pivot. I'm contending with that versus the new idea or the thing that you want to do. And the only leg that I ever have to really stand on for sure are those numerics. So in small groups, I'm looking at how many people have signed up, and then attendance every time. How many people have signed up versus how many people have completed that? And then I compare that against how many people consistently are coming to Bible study. And then I also compare that against if the conversation becomes about, well, at Bible study, we can raise an offering. All right, how much are we raising at Bible study based upon how many people are there, and what is that operationally helping us to do? If that is only giving us an extra $800, while I'm not knocking that amount, is that something that we can, for lack of a better word, forego so that the overall vision in which you have said at the beginning of the year actually happens? Those are some of those nuanced things that I wouldn't be able to speak to in full confidence if I didn't really know the numbers and or the things in which I was talking about. So it is imperative that as we are moving forward in the vision that the Lord has given our leaders, that we are also being intentional about helping them stay true to the first thing that was said before the second thing came about.
Man, that you again, I don't this is coming constant this is gonna be a little bit of a refrain in this conversation. When you hear great leaders say the same thing over and over, they're not suggestions, y'all. These are the idea
Hello.
that as
Hello.
as a number 2, we lead with metrics, and Khalil, you just masterfully took us through an entire decision-making tree,
For
right?
sure. For
I'm
sure.
comparing this metric to this metric to this metric, and
Right.
then I'm even in isolation taking those metrics, setting them aside and saying, "Oh, is there a financial?" Remember, your
Correct.
pastor is not just seeing the church through a simple lens. There are
Mhm.
multiple lenses, right? You have Bible
Correct.
study. Now I gotta, I may have to pay some contractors for sound and lighting
For
and
sure.
musicians. So now Bible study
For
is a
sure.
cost, whereas small groups may not. And maybe small
Exactly.
groups, like it's just it's not myopic. And I think what happens for a lot of number twos is we struggle to see that it's never one thing. It's the idea is
Right.
never as simple as, "Oh, we'll just do this and that'll solve the problem," right? There are all these external inputs, and one of the ones you brought up that I think
Mhm.
should not be overlooked is the fact that there's an offering, right? Like, "Hey, guys, this
Can't be.
church this church runs on the generosity and stewardship of
Exactly.
people, and sometimes we have to we have to make sure that all those numbers line up." And I think, the
Mm.
emotional decision of, "Oh, we just wanna be a small group church," is like, okay, well, that's a financial decision in addition to a vision decision, and so I just think
Right.
I really genuinely think that's masterful. In this latter half of the conversation, I wanna maybe shift and pivot a little bit because I think, of course, everything we've talked about has been rich. There's an even richer, revelation that you have that I think this community has to hear. And
Mhm.
so if you're listening to this podcast, I'm gonna tell you right now, buckle in. It's about to get slightly deeper and maybe even slightly more confrontational for you as a
Mhm.
leader. I know this thought is absolutely confrontational for me.
Right.
So, you have this great relationship with your pastor.
Well, yeah. Love
And
it.
there's a y'all travel together,
Mhm.
you do ministry together, you do life together. It's safe to say that if we were objectively looking out from the outside of your relationship, that y'all are friends. Like, y'all are it's not just employer, boss, employee
Right,
relationship, not
right,
even pastor member relationship. This is all of those, and we actually like each other. Like, we like doing
right.
life together. Our wives like each other. Like, we like each other.
Mhm.
We wanna be around each other. How watch this, help us. How do you maintain productivity, execution, and positionality with someone who you have relationality, like real relationality with?
Mm,
I'm gonna say sometimes it's easier to be an XP if your pastor is just your boss.
hello,
It makes it infinitely easier because then it's very black
hello.
and white. You don't call and ask me what I'm doing for dinner tonight. You're not like, "Come to the house, let's hang out." We just
Ooh-wee.
work, we clock out, and we go on about our way.
Yes,
I'm not
yes,
advocating that, but I think it's easier.
for sure.
But God never
Oh
says
my
it's easy.
gosh.
He never gives us easy. So I said to say, how do you maintain, like, Khalil, how do you
Mhm.
maintain friendship with your supervisor? And how do you go between the 2
Mm.
of those? And I think you're gonna help a whole bunch of people in this latter half of this conversation.
Yeah, I think, well, for me, the way I define friendship is, um, especially with my leader, is the same way I would define friendship with God. It's through the lens of a higher status of sonship. Of course, we are all sons of God. That He is our Father. All of that jazz. We are all sons, but there becomes a time in your relationship with God where you move from just being a son and you kind of get into this level of friendship with him. And that doesn't mean that you stop being a son and now you're solely a friend, because that would, to a degree, for some, mean that you are equal, or that's a peer, and that you have equal voice and equal right and all of those things. I never stopped being a son of God, but his tone of voice with me changes. His dealings with me change. The way we, may go back and forth, all of those things change. That is the exact same way in which I approach my relationship, or my sonship rather, with my pastor. Now, that also doesn't mean that you have to be, and this is also a touchy subject in its own right. You don't have to be a son to have a son-like reverence for your senior leader, who is also your supervisor and boss. But I never get to the place where I allow our comedic relief, I allow our traveling, I allow the behind the curtain moment with my leader to make me see us as equal. Because at the
Mm,
end of the day, we aren't. And the reason is, the moment I become equal, I lose a pastor. And above
wow.
everything that I need a pastor more than I need a CEO. I need a pastor more than I need a supervisor. I need a pastor more than I need a friend. And I have to protect my perspective of still seeing him as my pastor. And the moment we become too much friend, or the moment we become too much boss, we lose a pastor. And that's how I think number two leaders go to a church and then they have an online pastor. They have somewhere else that they go and they're
Sheesh.
fed. They have someone else that they listen to for, Sunday sermons. And while I get on Sunday mornings, yeah, to a degree, I'm there to work. The first half of the service, I'm working. But the moment that text opens, I turn off my executive pastor hat. To a degree, my eyes are always watching to make right. But I turn that off so that I can also receive from my pastor. So I
Right.
never allow myself, and I can even throw another layer on this. He is also baby Callie, my newborn. He is also her godfather.
Wow. Wow.
So now
Wow.
there's this family dynamic that is also built into that. And that was also something that was a bit scary for me at first. I was like, hey, we need to talk to you, the kids, first lady. We need to talk to everybody before we walk into this level of relationship from a family dynamic. Because while I am at this point family with, my daughter, and you being her godfather, you are still my pastor. and I still need you to pastor my wife. And when the time comes, I need you to be a spiritual type of godfather to my daughter. So all of those nuances in there are great. And I think they also help us get the job done better. They
Mhm. So good.
those nuances help us have that healthy back and forth where he knows that because we are so relationally close, he knows that I got his back relationally. I'm not going to suggest something just because I think it's good strategy, but it's going to end you up on a blog site. I'm not going to suggest you do something with social media because it's a trend that's now going to, can we just be honest, affect your livelihood because you're a pastor, which then also affects the livelihood of the family that I'm a part of. So I need that relational dynamic to be there so that we work better. But I don't blur those lines because if my soul is in trouble and I need a pastor, I don't want to go talk to my homeboy. I
So good.
want to talk to who my pastor
So
is.
good. Oh my gosh. Wow. Let me ask you a question. What are some micro calculations and
Mm,
actions that pattern this type of relationship?
mm.
You know,
Yeah,
we're on the we're doing something life, we're doing life and we're having
right.
fun.
Exactly.
How do you signal for yourself and maintain that in your actions? Like, I think no one
Hmm.
listening to you is like is thinking, "Yeah, I don't wanna have a pastor." Like, they're like, "What?
Exactly.
How do I?" But when it's fun,
Right.
and
Right.
pastors, they are always the pastor. So they can be at the
Correct.
basketball game, eating popcorn, laughing and joking, and then switch to, "Hey, we gotta make sure that" you're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
we're not that anymore." And
for
so
sure.
what do you do? What are your micro calculations,
Mm.
personality calculations, verbal cues, even help us navigate that moment when it does go from, "Hey, we're hanging out, we are I'm lucid, my hair's down," to, "Oh, wait, I had an idea, vision, hey, we gotta deal with an issue," or, "Man, you never believe the call I just got," and the whole conversation just
For
switches
sure.
to, "Oh, now we're working again." How do you handle that?
Yeah, when I know that he and I are gonna have extended moments together, we're traveling, we got a meeting that we're gonna be at for however many hours or whatever the case is, um, I think about the 3 types of lanes that I am in with him, and I prepare to have conversations with all of those three lanes. And it's not like an intentional preparation where like, oh, okay, I got to prepare to be around my pastor type because again, we're also cool. We're also at that highest level of friendship sonship type. But I'm thinking because I know he's busy, he's traveling. Sometimes those travel moments are our meeting time where I have his complete attention. There's either no other staffers around or whatever the case is. Those are some times that I know I can get actual answers to the things that I've been working on. Now, the caveat I'll put into that is me and my pastor are both churched, so we can talk about church forever, and not just church from the context of our work. We'll talk about what's happening in church culture. We'll talk about some of the things that were going on, the Drewski conversation. We talked about all of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
However, because we talk about those things and those conversations always turn into kind of strategy conversations. We saw this happen. How can we ensure that either we are protected against this thing, or what are we doing to make sure that we get this end result? So the conversation is always free flowing, but I always at least plan to talk to him about these 3 things. One, just something just us being us in life. How are you doing? How are the kids doing? All of those types of things that just, spark us into random conversation. From there, I also am intentional to talk to him about things that are happening within our church, either conversations that I've had, either, and even that. when I talk to him about things that happen in our church, because I still need a pastor and a boss, I talk to him not like I have all the answers, but there are times that I still need his wisdom. Hey, I had this tough conversation. I have to follow up about it with said person. Give me your wisdom on how I should do this. Or, hey, I feel like this could be a potential, a fire for us. How can I go about putting this out? Now, that could be a double-edged sword, because if I'm solely going to him with just asking him how to, now it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. So even in me going to him with my how to, I would say, oh, now this is how I would tackle it. I'm going to say this, this, this. And then he can give me his wisdom on top of that. That also helps to position my heart to still see him, one, not only as the authority, but as my pastor that I can go to when I need help on how to navigate situations. And then the third thing that I'm also intentional to talk to him about are the things that I feel like the Lord is doing to me personally, and or doing with me personally. Here's where I think most number twos get into the lane of having online pastors and other pastors, and their pastors not necessarily their pastor, is because we take our liberties with everything else with our senior pastor outside of the spiritual things that the Lord is working in us. Hey, I feel like the Lord is stirring in me more to preach. I feel like the Lord has been speaking to me about intercession, or I feel like the Lord is raising me up as a prophet, or whatever the spiritual things are that the Lord is doing in you. The same way that you can talk to him about the strategy, you should be able to talk to him about your soul.
So
You
good.
should be able to talk to him about the things that the Lord has put on your heart. So that way you keep in focus that this is my pastor that's supposed to be watering into me, that's supposed to be helping to raise up my gifts. Do not use your proximity only for strategy, and you forsake the soul part of you that still needs a pastor. So in moments where, again, we have prolonged opportunities together, this isn't happening in board meetings, this isn't happening in staff meetings, when it's either just he, I, and Pastor Christabel, w- those are the moments where we go through all three, from personal to family to strategy to the soul work that I need my pastor for.
Man, the beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even
Even.
as your soul prospers.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's so
sir.
good. So good. So good. Okay, end this with this thought and put you on the hot seat. And put you on the
Mhm,
hot seat. Talk to the number two who's listening,
mhm.
and they are. I'm about to. Conversation's about to go left, and they are struggling. They are
Yeah.
struggling. They're not experiencing the beauty of the number two role, because
Mm.
I say when it's done right, it's very beautiful. Like it can
Yeah.
be incredibly life giving and fun, and you can just live on a constant. It doesn't mean it's not hard. I'm not saying that. It's just beautiful. They're not experiencing the beauty. It's a struggle.
Mm.
They're wrestling through relational dynamics, and obviously the pressure of ministry and the people and the stress and the money and the team and the staff and the facility, and they're living in the tension of I don't know if I'm as good at this as I thought I would be, because I thought it would be easier. I just thought
Yeah.
this would be easier. Talk to them, encourage them uh, in this last moment from your own story, from your own testimony.
Yeah.
Help those number twos.
You know, I would say the biggest emotional cost to being in the second seat isn't criticism, in that coming in, we know that, we'll be the punching bag. We know that things that go wrong in the church are going to be blamed on us. We know that people are going to say things about us, whatever. Because we know that we prepare for the criticism, I think one of the things we do not prepare for as much is invisibility. Reason being, because we are often the bridge, in that you translate the vision, you protect the culture, you are the one that executes, you bring the thing into reality. Because we are the bridge, we often forget that bridges are supposed to be walked on, that bridges are supposed to be trampled over so that someone can get to the other side. If you are not careful, Being invisible can slowly start to erode at your confidence and your identity. And then you'll start to confuse your identity with your assignment. With that being the case, a system that I use personally for myself is to separate who I am from what I'm called to do. Separate who I am from what I'm called to do, which is why I can go into moments with my senior leader and allow what I'm called to do to be the topic of conversation and who I am. Who I am as a husband. I come on. I need you. You are a great man that has an amazing family. You love your wife. So many people love the Clacks relationship, right? Um, I dare not be that close to that type of example. Dare I even say anointing for family and not allow that to get on, catch this, not what I'm called to do. I need that to get on who I am. I need that to get on who I am as a husband. I need that to get on who I am as a new father. I need that to get on who I am as a man that's still trying to provide. Bingo, provision is also related to you paying me because you're the boss, but I'm separating who I am from what I am here to do, what my assignment is. The second thing is I define success internally. I'd have to define my success internally. I cannot define my success solely on how well the conference went. I cannot define my success solely on the growth of the numbers or the metrics. I have to define my success on, am I becoming a better version of myself by being here? Am I becoming a more whole pastor? Am I fulfilling God's assignment for me, no matter how the thing turns out, no matter if the proper amount of people didn't show up, or no matter if I didn't reach the budget number, am I still growing as a person? Now, I don't use that as an escape from responsibility or as an escape from the pressures. I still need to show up in my job, but I don't allow applause to be my oxygen, because if it is, then I'll suffocate. The third thing I'll say is I also build private affirmation systems. I have written a second chair playbook. The first part of the playbook deals with the mental frameworks that we need to remain grounded. The second part of the playbook deals with the practical things. So I give the exact systems that I use in my everyday life. It's called the second chair playbook. In that second chair playbook, I talk about how to build without losing yourself, and how to manage a vision that you don't have, or to how to manage a vision that the Lord didn't give to you. A part of that is building private affirmation systems. Not that I just have to be, Sister Soldier and build my own self up, right? But my private affirmation systems look like when a thing goes well and when a thing does not go well, my number one person that I'm talking to is my wife, because I know that my wife has enough love for me to be honest, but she has my heart in her mouth enough to patch me up where I might be down. If I'm looking for affirmation solely from my pastor as my friend, or if I'm looking for affirmation solely from my team who I lead, the moment that they don't affirm me the way that I need to be affirmed, because often sometimes their affirmation can be around what you've done well and not necessarily how great you have been growing in the process. I need to build affirmation systems around me in the moments where my job requires me to be invisible, and where I have to be that bridge that I know I'm going to get walked on, which is our role, which is our job. Dare I even say, which is the whole purpose that Jesus came in the first place, to be the bridge for us to come back to salvation. So now we can walk over a man named Jesus Christ to experience God in a new level. That's all stewardship. That is what I would say to someone that is
Wow.
navigating that emotional space of being a number two. It may not be going as well, or really, you could just reach a rough patch right now where it doesn't feel like things are going the way that it's supposed to. One, separate your identity from your assignment. Two, define your success internally. And three, build private affirmation systems.
Man. Wow. Wow. Pastor Khalil Tubbs, thank you so much for this
This has been
absolute
fun.
fire hydrant of
This has
wisdom
been
you
fun.
pulled out. Man, listen, our entire community is so grateful for leaders like you, irresistible leaders like you,
Hello.
who we can't help but to follow. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you for having me, bro.
By the way, if you're still watching, if you're still listening, because I know you are, check out the show notes. We're going to give you links to connect with Pastor Khalil, his
Yeah.
platforms, also his Mike Toss podcast, and the Second Chair Playbook. You got to get that in your arsenal. Don't decorate your bookshelves. Decorate your brain. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Love that.
I'm just saying, decorate
Love
your brain.
that.
It looks better in your brain than it looks on your bookshelf.
Hello.
Anyways, Pastor Khalil, again, on behalf of the Irresistible Leader community, thank you so much for your time today. We
Made it to the
appreciate you.
Potter's
We're grateful
house.
for you. Okay, you got to stop doing that. Hey, thank y'all. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.